Ladies and gentlemen, what's going on? Happy Monday to everybody. Happy Free Agency Monday. But that's not what this video is about. This video is about the big trades that went down this weekend. And we're going to cover that. If you want to hear some of my opinions on what's going on in free agency, I'm going to give it a couple days to kind of let the first wave kind of cool down. And, just so I can kind of see what's going on with the field and give you a generalization on how I feel free agency is going. And if you're a Cowboys, Jags fan, you're going to get my opinion on how I feel about, what the Jags are doing or not doing and the Cowboys are doing or not doing. All right. But without further ado, big trades over the weekend. Carolina Panthers went ahead and sent the house for the #1 overall pick to the Chicago Bears. 2 firsts, 2 seconds, and DJ Moore went to Chicago. Chicago drops all the way to 9 and recoups so much value. I can't even believe it. And I guess I can believe it. But the reason I say I can't believe it is because on Chicago's part, kudos to them. I would have did the same thing. If you've been following me long enough, you know I'm a Justin Fields guy. I've even gone as far as to say that I would have, if I were going to pick between Justin Fields and Trevor Lawrence, that I might want to take the gamble on Justin Fields because I felt like Fields had the more ability to become a rock star. That I felt like his ceiling was higher than Trevor Lawrence's possible ceiling. And I know Trevor Lawrence has outplayed him thus far, but we saw how special Justin Fields looked this year with zero help whatsoever. Now, here comes here comes the cavalry to help Justin Fields out, and they got to do it. I believe they're #1 in cap space, so they're going to be big players probably in free agency, and they needed to fix that old line, which is one of the worst in the league. So it's an A+ for me on Chicago's part. I would have never dealt Justin Fields and then picked up a brand new quarterback just to have him reliving the same situation that Justin Fields was living. And mind you, I don't think any of the quarterbacks outside of Anthony Richardson have the athleticism, speed to be able to even mimic what Justin Fields is doing. And Anthony Richardson isn't even in the class of quarterback that Justin Fields was coming out. So Bears, big move, big move, big move. And here's the flip side to that. They have to make a decision on Justin Fields, meaning it's going to be year 3. It's kind of put up or shut up time. He has to at least show that he's grown from last year and that he's worthy of a second contract because they have decisions to make. It's going to be 5th-year option time going into the next season. It's going to be extension talks going into the next season. So if he falters for any reason, they have hella draft picks. And guess who the prize in next year is going to be? It's Caleb Williams. And that's another guy I've been high on. But I believe in Justin Fields. I love the move for the Chicago Bears. They need plenty of things, and this was the move to get it. They're still at 9. For all you know, they can move up because now I think it's going to be a fire sale at quarterback at the top of the draft. I have no idea who's going to go #1 overall. I haven't really done my breakdown of the quarterbacks in terms of watching film, but from the little bit I've seen in terms of actually watching the games, I'm more partial to Bryce Young than I am CJ Stroud. I don't love either, and kind of for some obvious reasons. So Bryce Young and CJ Stroud, what they do have in common is they play for powerhouse schools. For me, if you don't have a dominant course that you ran like Joe Burrow did with LSU, I'm kind of ho-hum on you being, the top quarterback at these major schools, the way they run over teams. Now, I will say this, in Alabama's case, this hasn't been the same Alabama Tide that it's been the last few seasons. For the most part, I can make the argument that Bryce Young is what that was holding them together for the last couple seasons. Now, another thing I like about Bryce Young is, and I can't quite find a good comparison for him, but he sort of reminds me of Russell Wilson, obviously prior to this year. He's not quite as athletic as Russell Wilson, but when I see him scrambling around and when he scrambles to get the ball off for the most part. It reminds me of Russell Wilson, especially how accurate he is and the plays he can make on the move. And again, he's always running to throw the ball. CJ Stroud, I liked him last year. I wanted to like him. Let me say that. All right. He fits the mold, prototypical size. The kid throws a pretty ball. My problem with CJ Stroud is I saw some chinks in the armor this year, particularly under pressure. And at Ohio State, they don't play a lot of people and until like they meet like Michigan in the playoffs and whatnot. So when he played Michigan, he didn't look great. I believe they had a game that was in weather against Northwestern, and I know a lot of people were going to say that was like a weather game, and that's why his stats look so bad, and that's fine. But some of his decision making in gotta have it moments have left me kind of scratching my head a little bit. So there's just some games that, and they won a lot of games, and he's got the stats or whatever. But I'm kind of a guy that when I'm evaluating quarterbacks, I don't care about so much how it's going when it's going good. I care about accuracy. What are they doing on third down? What are they doing under pressure? I care about those kind of things because I think those are indicators of that you could project to the NFL. How do they handle adversity? And in both quarterbacks' cases, I don't feel like they did a lot of it. And I think Bryce Young was better under adversity and pressure than CJ Stroud was. If you get the heat on CJ Stroud, I feel like his accuracy kind of comes and goes. He hasn't had too much experience dealing in the off script and things not going well. And you got to combine that with the fact that, man, this guy has had receivers galore, 3 to 4 NFL wide receivers that he's played with. Marvin Harrison Jr., Jackson Smith-Njigba, Chris Olave, Garrett Wilson. All these guys are going to be playing on Sundays. Or are already playing on Sundays. And, so I'll get more into that when I dive deeper into, the film and I break down whether I'm confirming some of the things I saw from the game or not. With that being said, Chicago, A+. I don't love it for Carolina for the obvious reasons because I don't feel like this is that. I don't feel like this draft is particularly as good as the Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields draft in terms of quarterback. And to make matters worse, if I were running a team, I'm not the guy that would trade 3 first-round picks or a boatload of picks for a quarterback, unless it was, and if I did, it would be for the generational quarterback. At least Trevor Lawrence was carrying the generational tag, or an Andrew Luck. Those are the only couple quarterbacks in like the last decade that I remember hearing that term generational, like this guy, can just change your life. These other quarterbacks, have they really been worth it? Trey Lance, I'm not sure they're going to recoup that value, but he's got a lot of road to run. At least he's still an unfinished product. But Jared Goff wasn't worth it. Carson Wentz wasn't worth it. And I loved me some RG3, but we all saw how that worked out. I never think that those situations are going to pan out. And the only time I would do it outside of the generational tag is if I'm a team that the only thing I'm missing is the quarterback, and I think this will fix it. I hate for a team like the Carolina Panthers, who I will say I don't think they're as far off as you would think, because when you look at that roster, there's talent all over the place with that roster. Now, they've depleted it a little bit with letting go DJ Moore. I'm not sure what they're going to do there or what the plan is. But I would like to think they probably have cap room. I didn't look into that. That they maybe should make some moves for wide receiver, but wide receivers is kind of thin market in free agency. They traded away multiple assets, so I can't see that they're going to make a deal for a wide receiver. Maybe they make a play for Odell, but if you're Odell, do you go there? They're going to bring in a new rookie quarterback. I suppose if you're Frank Reich, you're a little battered from what happened with the Colts. I thought he got let go. I don't think it was right that they let him go in the way that they let him go. I thought he was a very good coach. You got to consider that this coach was supposed to help mold Andrew Luck, and then Luck retired, and then they just platooned over-the-hill quarterbacks to him. And I thought he got fired in ridiculous fashion. I think he's a very good coach. I think he's a very good schemer. He's part of the Andy Reid coaching tree. I'm not sure if it's directly, but I know he was the OC for Doug Peterson, who is in the Andy Reid coaching tree. And their styles, I think, are similar in that they like to do a lot of bootlegging, a lot of slants, a lot of West Coast stuff, and getting quarterbacks on the move. And they like to get real exotic with the offense. It's a lot of underneath stuff, and it's a lot of get the ball out of your hands. When as I say it, I just don't see how it's not Bryce Young. So hopefully it works out for him. And I guess the point that I kind of lost that I was trying to get at is when you draft the quarterback, you're kind of guaranteeing yourself like 3 years as a coach. If you do what they did and you go get a veteran quarterback, you're kind of saying we're closer to competing than you probably are. Hence why he probably just decided to go the rookie route. And if he's going to go out, he's going to go out on his own skis. You know what I mean? So lastly, I just want to touch on this second trade that I'm surprised didn't get more pub, and it was the Jalen Ramsey trade to the Rams. Also, if you've been following me, then you know, as a Jag fan, I have been pleading with us Jaguar fans to have some more pride because for some reason we were begging for Jalen Ramsey, and for me, he's been dead to me ever since he faked the injury and refused to play for us. Now, by all bias aside, I thought this was a huge move by the Dolphins. He got traded from the Rams to the Dolphins, and I've been calling the Rams implosion. Follow my videos. You'll see. I've been calling the Rams implosion for some time. Flip to the Rams. I can't believe they got so little in return for Jalen Ramsey. 3rd round pick and a tight end. A no-name tight end at that. It was a salary dump. It also screams that maybe there wasn't much of a market for Jalen Ramsey. I know a lot of teams, when you're paying for a corner, a lot of the really good teams are cap strapped and probably didn't want to make that move. And then you got the kind of the poor teams like the Chicago Bears. His timeline just doesn't match up with certain teams. So his pool of teams was probably lacking, which hence, and plus, supply and demand. There wasn't enough demand for him. So they were able to sell him off. I guess the value was ultimately getting his contract off the books. It's a smart move by the Rams. It's kind of just time to tear it down and start over because this model was never sustainable, and I've been talking about it since day one. On the Dolphins side, they're swinging for the fences, and I think this is the year. I think this is the year that they can really challenge for it. And I mean, why? Because the only team at the top are the Chiefs right now. And the Chiefs, it's been the AFC Kansas City Invitational to get to the Super Bowl every year. You're going to go into Kansas City and have to beat them, it seems like. Cincinnati's coming as long as you got Joe Burrow, but they're losing a lot of players. They lost both safeties so far in free agency. And then you got the Bills, who I kind of think they kind of went for it a la like the Dolphins did, but they didn't strike in their window like they needed to because they just lost Tremaine Edmonds. And then I believe they're in the process of probably losing Jordan Poyer, who was very important to their defense. They're kind of losing pieces. Now, for the most part, they're still together offensively, but that defense is starting to lose some of the luster that it had. And I don't know if they can overcome it, especially with the way these guys are coming. If A-Rod goes to New York's going to be serious business. I think Miami is going to be serious business. I like Tua a lot. If he can stay healthy, they're going to be a problem. They already signed Mike White away from the Jets. I think that's a very interesting low-key petty move on my part, but y'all let me know what y'all think. But ultimately, I think the Dolphins are coming. Xavier Howard on one side and Jalen Ramsey on the other with Vic Fangio as the D coordinator. Bradley Chubb they traded for last year. Jalen Phillips was another big-time pass rusher on the other side that they drafted. This defense is going to be scary. The offense is already scary. All they need is Tua to take another step and stay healthy, of course. I know it's a big if, but I don't think they require much at quarterback to kind of get this thing going. So if I were them, I would sign a backup quarterback a la Mike White. Very interesting. And this offense is tailor-made for any guy that can make quick reads and make quick plays. And I think Mike White might be the guy if Tua doesn't hang on. So that's all I got. Remember to like, subscribe, and share. Appreciate y'all. I'll be checking y'all out in the comments. Peace.